Joining us what's today? Wednesday at 3 o'clock is the great Larry Andersen. Quite a range of emotions from everyone last night, LA.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's often, a lot of times you'll hear people say, "I feel like we lost that game." Mm-hmm. That was the epitome of that saying right there. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen, and I'm serious. It was terrible. But then you win a game, and that's the bottom line. And I said it last night. A win is a win, however you do it. But man, was that ugly to watch.
Well, so do you walk away from that game saying they found a way even when they played bad, and that's a mark of a good team? Or do you walk away saying a good team doesn't make that many mistakes in one game? Like, what is the latter?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
A good team doesn't. We're 28th in defense. 28th in defense, 29th in bullpen ERA. And our slugging, which I thought this team was built for, is, I don't know where they're at in that ranking, but it can't be very high. And I know it's early, but you can only keep saying it's early for like 2 or 3 months, I guess. I know there's a lot of season left, but it's got to get turned around. The sloppy play is what's just it's baffling. I mean, this is not a young team; it's a veteran team. Mm-hmm. But just to see some of the mistakes that that are happening, I'm like, and this isn't just last night. This is watching the road trip, watching the games in New York, mm-hmm. The first one in Chicago. It's like, holy cow! They got to turn this around a little bit in some areas and just be a little better. And I don't know if it's concentration or focus. I don't know what it is.
I always wonder, LA, with baseball, once you get in the season, trying to improve upon fundamentals can sometimes be difficult. Like with football, we only play one game a week, so you got the other 4 or 5 days of the week to sort of focus on these things in practice, and hopefully it translates to the game on Sunday or Monday whenever you play. With baseball, I don't feel like they get – like you guys don't have that opportunity to work on a lot of stuff because you're playing 5 or 6 days out of the week. So how do you improve on some of those small things that seem to keep plaguing this team, at least from a defensive fundamental standpoint?
Well, I think you can't. To me, you're right what you said. You can't do it with playing 162 games and playing games every day. But you can take like a few here and a few there. Before the game, early batting practice. You can go out and you can work on things. You don't have to have the whole team out there, but you can work on outfield. Play on one day, infield play the next day, or second and short, or first, whatever. You can mix it up a little bit. So you're not wearing guys out, but it's almost like you need to work on these things. It's stuff that the fundamental stuff should be done in the minor leagues.
Right.
That's first and foremost.
Right.
I'm a big believer in that. What you're taught in your early part of your career is what stays with you. And if you're not getting taught things that you should be getting taught, then those mistakes continue. And I'm not saying we're not teaching them in the minor leagues. I haven't been down there in 20 years, but it's just some of the little things that you can't do is just that's what's baffling. It's either they forget or it's not been ingrained enough in them to do it at a lower level before they get here. But to see that kind of play, and I don't think it's specific to the Phillies. I think there's other teams that go through these things.
Right.
But as a veteran club, though, you just keep working at it, you keep grinding. But you have to want to get better. You have to understand that you're not that good right now. I think that once you realize that, then you say, okay, we got to get to work. We can get to work and let's make this better. If you don't think you're having a problem, if you think everything's okay and it'll turn around just as the season goes along, I don't think it's going to get better.
So LA, let me ask you this, and I know he's not the one on the field. I know ultimately it's the players who have to decide. But when you're talking about concentration issues and fundamental issues, at what point do you say, well, is the the manager stressing to them or holding them accountable for these errors? Because I agree with you, it's not just in the field, it's on the base paths, and it's all these. What are you thinking? Why are you doing that? I feel like I'm saying that so many times. So at what point do you question whether it is being stressed enough from the people who are supposed to be holding them accountable for that?
I mean, that's a good point. But one thing, I think Rob is very good at keeping his emotions in check, not showing, not getting over jubilant or getting down. He stays pretty even keel. And I think because of that, I think people think, well, maybe he lets players get away with stuff, but that's not the case. I mean, knowing what I know, he's not afraid to call a player in and read him the riot act. He isn't. The one thing I almost, and this is just a matter of opinion, sometimes I think it's better if he would just call him out publicly and let people know that he is getting on them and busting on them for not doing things right. Because to me, that sends a message. I think more than anything is the players themselves should be able to hold each other accountable. And one thing I really appreciated last night was Trey Turner when he came on the post game and he says, Scott talked about his 4 hits and that. He goes, yeah, I might be responsible for helping us win, but I was also responsible for putting us in that position, with my sloppy defense, or however he said it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that as a player. Instead of guys making an excuse or I didn't get a grip or I didn't make the play. I should have, and holding themselves accountable, I think is huge. But for the players to do that to each other, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's not a matter of getting in their face. It's a matter of saying, hey, dude, what are you doing there? And talk about. I don't know if they ever talk about it. I'm not on the bench, so maybe they do. But just little things, throwing to the wrong base. Does somebody say something? I know Paco talks a lot to the outfielders about the mistakes they make, and I get reports from players coming off the field and coaches saying something to a player or getting on them about this or that. It's not a lack of that, I don't think. But I think the biggest thing, like I said, I think if the players would hold each other, would get on each other. But I don't think this is a team that has the players that want to do that or that should do that. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just don't think that's the right way to do it. And so then it's just a matter of opinion. My opinion is it'd make a big difference if the players would get on each other, because when you're being held accountable by your peers, it means a little more than if you're being held accountable by your coach and manager, although the coaches and managers are the ones that help make the decision whether you stay or go. I think it's incumbent upon the players to get on each other, and not in a bad way, but in a constructive way.
Oh, yeah.
Put your arm around them and go, hey, we can't do that this way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to be somebody that, I don't know if anybody takes the lead down there. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm talking way out of school, but it doesn't show, and I would like to see that myself.
Yeah, it does seem like the leadership of this team is not the kind of they seem like there are high character guys there who care, but I've never gotten the sense that even Bryce or Schwarber or that they are the call somebody out type of leader. It seems more like the supportive, quiet, do the right thing kind of guy, and a lot less the tell somebody that they did something wrong when it was wrong kind of guy. That's the perception I've always gotten from them.
And I agree with you. Like, I really do. I don't. And sometimes you have a team that there's just not somebody on there that's really a leader. I think there's a number of guys on this team that could be a leader. And the thing is that you don't have to be hitting 350, or you don't have to have 20 home runs in the bag with 45 RBIs a month into the season to be a leader. You can. Dalton was a leader, and he was a 230 hitter before 93. Or 92 maybe, but he was still a leader of that club, and people respected him because he would stand up no matter what he did. If he went 0 for 3 with 3 punch-outs, he was still the leader of that team, and he wasn't afraid to call somebody out. And if they wanted to turn on him and go, hey, you punched out 3 times, what about you? He would stay there in a minute, and I mean, nobody would say that to him. They respected him too much, I think. But the fact that he didn't have to, you don't have to be the best player on the team. You don't have to be the anything. You just have to have the desire to want to be better and hold your other teammates accountable.
Yeah, but you better
it's not easy either, but it can be done.
And obviously, you would agree with this. Being that guy, you got to make sure you're practicing what you're preaching. In other words, yeah.
So
I didn't mean to interrupt. That's exactly what it is. I mean, if you're not playing hard all the time, it's tough to be a leader because then people can come back at you and go, "Well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that," and that has nothing to do with
ability or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's. I mean, I don't know. I would like to see it. I really would, but I don't know if anybody feels comfortable doing it.
Speaking of Bryce, he has struggled. You know, he only had 2 hits on the road trip. And are you seeing anything out of him when you're watching him that would, we're in here wondering, is he hurt? Is it his back? Is he, like, what's going on? Do you see anything when you watch Bryce that gives you sort of a clue as to what's going on with him?
Not really. I mean, I haven't been around that much as far as actually being in person at the game, obviously. But watching the games and that, I don't see anything that it jumps out at me that, oh, he's doing this or he's not doing this or whatever. I don't know. I have had people say, and I'm not making this up, but the people have said they look like they're just not really having much fun, and that's something that this team we always saw. And I don't know if that's energy. I don't know if it's playing better or not playing worse. It's just, I don't see it. And I don't know if there's a reason for it or the fact that they're not playing like they should or like they expect to. But I mean, I always thought to me, and maybe I'm different, but, it should be fun. You should make it enjoyable. It's gotta be, I know it's a job, but it's a pretty fun job and it pays pretty well.
Yep.
And so there's not a whole lot to really complain about other than let's go have some fun and let the chips fall where they may. But let's enjoy doing this. Let's do it together. Let's have fun and at the same time hold each other accountable. It seems awfully easy, and it's very easy for me to sit here and say that. Mm-hmm. It's not that easy to get it done, but I also say it's not impossible either.
I'm gonna throw this in there, LA, because you brought up they don't look like they're having fun. Now, the Chiefs vibes operator is not here anymore.
Where's Stubby?
So he's not here. In all seriousness, I'm wondering, is there too much of a, I guess, focused atmosphere in the clubhouse versus having the loose clubhouse they've had over the last couple of years that maybe some of these players relied on far as giving them the energy that they need coming to the ballpark every day. It seemed like they came in with such a business-like approach this year. I'm just wondering, are they enjoying playing the game? And I know that's tough to sort of balance because you want them to have a business-like approach, but when I'm hearing it doesn't look like they're enjoying playing the game, that was one of the things that popped in my head. Is like, well, I'm wondering, are they enjoying playing the game? Do they miss doing the daycare stuff and the music in the locker room? I mean, I don't know. You play all these games, and there has to be different things that keep you motivated and keep you excited about coming to the ballpark every day. I just wonder if there's too much of a business-like approach that they just all seem tightly wound, and no one seems to be playing with a smile on their face every day. You think that could be something that they might need to consider or look into?
That makes sense to me, Ike. I mean, I haven't thought of that, but it makes sense. I mean, and this isn't. I'm not down there. I'm not in. I can't answer in the clubhouse if they're acting too businesslike. But from a distance, it's pretty valid to look at it and think that. I don't know. I'm just not seeing the fun that they've had. I don't know. And I was a guy that felt like, it's a job, but you should have fun. You should enjoy doing what you're doing and let people see that you enjoy it.
Yeah.
I just, and the other thing, I mean, they're not playing great baseball. And I think that can wear on guys as a team. Individually, absolutely, but also as a team, it's like, man, we're not playing very good. They're not going to come out generally and say that, but I think they realize it, and I think maybe they feel like, well, we got to get our nose down to the grindstone and get more serious about this. Maybe that's the case, but I would just I would definitely like to see them just a little more looser, a little more having fun, and it's easy to have fun out there when you're playing a game, or it should be. Mm-hmm. And when you're struggling, obviously it's tougher. And so maybe I don't like excuses, but maybe it's just they're not playing that well right now, and individually some guys are struggling, and maybe that's kind of holding things down. I just don't know.
Well, aside from that, Miss Lincoln, how was the play?
Exactly.
Jeez, holy moly! Yeah, well, I'll end it on a positive note, or hopefully. Watching Alvarado bear down and strike those three guys out last night was awesome. I know
that's right. He should have got the win and a save.
Yeah, that was awesome, man.
Well, Kirkland got the win last night. Everyone,
that was the least deserving win I think I've seen all year. But Alvarado was awesome. That was fun to watch.
Oh, it was phenomenal, and that's, I mean, seeing his energy and pumping his fists and coming off the mound. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like to see more of that. Like, I'm not a big fan of the showboating and that, but the excitement and the joy that he had coming off the mound of what he just did, that was great. I loved it. I think everybody loved it. It was tremendous.
LA, our first caller compared Johan Rojas to a young Willie Mays. Do you agree with that assessment?
Wait, how young? Like 6?
That was our first call today, I believe.
Willie Mays, yeah.
That's I don't know. That
interesting comp, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that.
It's a little bit of a stretch, LA. That's a little bit of a stretch by the caller. That's a little bit of a stretch.
I gotta believe it. Yeah, I'm a young Willie Mays, like at 6 years old, maybe. But when Willie Mays was 22 or 23, I don't know if I'm ready for the comparison there yet.
Right? Yeah. We all thought it was a bit of a stretch. All right, LA.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's got some talent, but not Willie Mays.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got Chris Sanchez going tonight. Hopefully, we win another series and on to the next one. We appreciate you as always, LA.
All right, brother.
You got it. Talk to you guys.
There he is, Larry Andersen.